Up with KREM begins now.
Morning. Thank you for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Brandon T. Jones filling in for Tim and Nicole. We do want to go ahead and start things off 6 o'clock right now with meteorologist Thomas Patrick. He's standing by over there in the Weather Center. Thomas, you've been keeping us updated and you've been telling us that heat is starting to turn on, my friend.
It's been a pretty easy forecast this week, admittedly so, Brandon, because it's just been very calm and very pleasant day after day. Just a little bit of extra cloud cover yesterday and the day before was kind of the worst of it. But now our attention is really turning to just exactly how hot are we talking about for this upcoming weekend, because 90s are now starting to look a bit likely. To get from now to there, we got to take a couple more steps upwards because it's still one of those cooler but pleasant mornings, 50s and 40s as of the 6 o'clock hour. But unlike yesterday where we topped out in the mid 70s, now we're going to take a more noticeable jump upwards temperature-wise into the low 80s. So about 5+ degrees warmer even just today. And now that trend, that warming trend, will carry all the way through this weekend.
All right, Thomas, we'll check back in with you here in just a few moments. Right now, we're taking a live look at I-90 and Pines. You can see cars starting to pick up out there on the road. Still early, though, of course, but all morning long, we'll continue to track these cameras out there on our roads to give you an update and give you an idea of what you'll be heading into for your morning commute. So we'll have traffic updates throughout the morning. Turning to some continuing coverage now. This morning, the desperate search continues for the man accused of brutally killing his 3 daughters in Chelan County over the weekend. The sheriff's office held a press conference saying they're confident they'll find Travis Decker as resources pour in from across the country. The Chelan County Sheriff's Department says the 32-year-old has an extensive military background, which may be helping him avoid law enforcement.
We have learned so far through our investigation today that he is well versed in outdoor survival. And talking with his father, it sounds at times that he would go out and would be leaving off grid for sometimes up to 2.5 months. So we also understand too that he at times would do caching. So we understand that that's a possibility that he could have scoped out this area before, put supplies out there, and has the ability and the knowledge to survive for a long period of time.
There was a tip that Decker may have been spotted in McCall, Idaho, causing law enforcement to search the area. That lead did turn cool, but law enforcement officials say that is one of several tips they have received. The sheriff's office say Decker may have gotten as much of a 3-day head start on investigators. That's based on when he and the girls were last seen and when their bodies were found. Our Seattle sister station spoke exclusively with the attorney representing Whitney Decker, the mother of the 3 girls killed. As Alex McAloon reports, Whitney feels like multiple cracks in the system led to her children's death.
We are getting a fuller picture of Travis Decker, the man whose life appeared to be falling apart with mental illness, homelessness, and the inability to hold down a job. And access to his kids was cut to every other weekend after a custody hearing 9 months ago.
He was an engaged father. He did have some limitations on his parenting time due to his mental illness.
The mother's attorney in the custody case says Travis became homeless a 1.5 years ago after leaving the Army as a Ranger.
He left voluntarily, so I believe his discharge was honorable. I think as far as the reserves, he just stopped showing up.
The attorney says Travis worked a couple of minimum wage jobs and at one point was talking to the Carpenters Union about possible work, but his skills just didn't transfer.
There were no red flags. He was struggling with isolation. And
records show Decker was diagnosed with a serious mental illness. The attorney says that was most likely related to his combat and that Decker tried and tried to get help, but there was too much red tape to get veteran services.
She really feels that the system let her children down. It was the inadequacies in the services for our veterans that killed those children. That's it.
The attorney and the mom are also raising concerns about the state's Amber Alert system. Law enforcement officials say they did not see Decker as an immediate danger to his own children, so no Amber Alert was sent out. The attorney says the mother thinks that was a deadly mistake.
They did not see him as an immediate physical danger to his children, despite the fact that he had a well-established history of mental health issues. And had they had seen it that way, those children might still be alive. And that's the thing that is so brutal. And the one thing she's really hoping can be changed in this tragedy.
Anyone who might know anything about Travis Decker's whereabouts, you're asked to call the tip line. That's right there at the bottom of your screen. This is still an ongoing investigation, so as we learn more, we'll be sure to update you. In our next half hour, we're discussing the role our local law enforcement has in this investigation. Turning our attention now, new this morning, Spokane police say they're increasing patrols in northwest Spokane near Cortlandt Avenue after two separate drive-by shootings less than a week apart. Patrol officers will be monitoring the area as much as possible, as well as installing a security camera in the area. The Spokane Police Department says the shootings happened on May 26th and June 1st. Evidence was collected from both shootings, but no victims or suspects have been located.
It just kind of draws folks based on its location. So the reason that's why we're trying to close down that activity as best we can. So that was the reason for this enforcement at this time.
We're hoping the camera and the new police presence will reduce incidents like this in the future.
Spokane police are unable to say if the incidents are connected, but neighbors in the area said they're being a little more vigilant. Well, nearly 100,000 grocery workers across the western U.S. could walk off the job. That includes right here in the inland Northwest. Strike authorization votes are trickling in from Albertsons and Kroger stores as negotiations remain in full swing with their employers. One key issue on the table is wages. 2/3 of grocery workers don't have secure housing, according to a May report by the nonprofit Economic Roundtable. Another key issue is short staffing and workers getting their weekly hours cut. The Bureau of Labor Statistics indicates the average non-supervising employee is spending 11% less time on the clock since 2003.
We can't fill the shelves. We don't have enough people to be able to accommodate the business.
Some of my coworkers are going on food stamps because they're not getting they can't feed their children.
Still, the grocery giants are facing challenges right now, like tariffs and less consumption due to years of inflation. A spokesperson for Albertsons could not be reached, but Kroger's media relations office returned our request saying, quote, "We believe the best outcomes are achieved at the table, not through disruption. Our current offer reflects that commitment, including up to a 12.42 wage increase for top-rate associates. These are benefits that many non-union competitors do not offer." Well, opening statements will start today in the third criminal trial for Lori Vallow Daybell. This time she's accused of conspiring to murder her ex-husband's niece. 16 jurors were sworn in yesterday afternoon after it was pushed back twice. Vallow has already been convicted in Idaho and Arizona on several charges, including the death of her children, Tylee and JJ, and conspiring to kill her former husband. The trial is expected to take about 2 weeks once testimony starts. Vallow has pleaded not guilty and is representing herself. Over in western Washington, a Snohomish County jury found a man guilty of vehicular homicide and vehicular assault in a crash that killed Washington State Patrol Trooper Christopher Gadd in March 2024. Raul Benitez Santana was driving over 100 miles per hour while under the influence when he struck Gadd's parked patrol vehicle on the shoulder of southbound I-5 near Marysville. The crash killed Gadd, who was pronounced dead at the scene. Benitez Santana's sentencing is scheduled for July 2nd. And after the verdict was reached, WSB Chief John Batiste released a statement, sharing in part they are thankful for the outpouring of support, calling the verdict just and welcome, adding one more dangerous driver is removed from our streets.